In a landmark decision that will echo for years to come, the Supreme Court has struck down President Trump's sweeping global tariffs, fundamentally challenging the long-standing presidential authority over trade and setting a new precedent for future administrations. The justices ruled that the administration overstepped its constitutional bounds, encroaching on powers that the Constitution reserves for Congress alone. This historic verdict dismantles a central pillar of the Trump administration's economic strategy and forces a dramatic reevaluation of U.S. trade relationships with allies and rivals alike. For businesses and consumers across the country, the ruling promises relief from high costs that have affected everything from groceries to electronics, but at the same time, it ushers in a new era of uncertainty and unpredictability for the marketplace. The decision will impact everything from car prices and manufacturing costs, to the cost of coffee, imported goods, and even the daily choices consumers make, and sends a clear message to the world about the legal limits of American trade policy and executive power. As the nation absorbs this turning point, questions loom. How will businesses adapt to the new rules? Will Congress step up to fill the void? What's next for American jobs and the workers who depend on global trade? This is more than a court case. It's a pivotal moment for America's role in the global economy, and its effects will be felt far beyond the courtroom. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods, designed to make foreign products more expensive and protect domestic industries. The Trump administration used tariffs aggressively, citing unfair trade practices by countries like China, and invoking national security to justify broad duties on steel, aluminum, and more. These measures aim to revive American manufacturing and reduce reliance on foreign suppliers. However, the tariffs sparked global trade disputes, with allies and rivals alike retaliating against U.S. exports. The duties covered hundreds of billions in goods, from industrial parts to everyday items, and triggered economic blowback, especially for American farmers and exporters. Critics argued the national security rationale was stretched too far, targeting even close allies. The unprecedented scope of these tariffs set the stage for years of legal and political battles. Ultimately, this conflict over presidential power and economic impact led to the Supreme Court's intervention. The Supreme Court's ruling centers on the Constitution's separation of powers, reaffirming that Congress, not the president, holds primary authority over trade. While Congress can delegate some power, the justices found Trump's use of Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act far exceeded what lawmakers intended. The administration's broad definition of national security was seen as a pretext for sweeping protectionism. The court drew a clear line. Presidents cannot unilaterally impose far-reaching tariffs without explicit congressional approval. This decision sets a precedent, signaling that future trade actions will face greater judicial scrutiny. Congress is reasserted as the architect of U.S. trade policy, and major shifts now require legislative debate. The ruling is a powerful check on expanding executive power in economic affairs. For American households, the Supreme Court's decision means potential relief at the checkout. After years of feeling the pinch from rising prices, families may finally see their dollars stretch a bit further. Tariffs had driven up prices on cars, food, and everyday goods. 73% of Americans blamed them for higher costs. These extra charges were often hidden in the final price, making it harder for families to manage their budgets. The automotive industry, hit hard by tariffs on steel and parts, is expected to pass cost savings to consumers, making vehicles more affordable. This could mean lower monthly payments or the ability to upgrade to a safer, more efficient car. Food prices, which surged in recent years, should ease as tariffs on items like beef, tomatoes, and coffee are lifted. Shoppers may notice more stable prices on their weekly grocery runs, especially for staples that saw the biggest increases. The removal of a 40% tariff on Brazilian coffee, for example, has already led to lower prices for cafes and consumers. Your morning cup of coffee could soon cost less, and local cafes may offer a wider variety of beans. Wine lovers may also benefit, as import taxes that inflated prices and limited choices are eliminated. With more options on the shelves, wine enthusiasts can explore new flavors without breaking the bank. U.S. wine importers saw sales drop due to tariffs. Now, more affordable imports could boost competition and lower prices. This change could revitalize small businesses and specialty shops across the country. The unwinding of tariffs promises direct benefits for household budgets, from the car in your driveway to the coffee in your cup. Over time, these savings can add up, helping families put money toward other priorities. While savings may take time to reach shelves, the long-term impact is clear: lower costs and more choices for American families. As competition increases, retailers may offer more promotions and discounts. The ruling marks a shift toward a more open, competitive marketplace, giving consumers greater power and flexibility in their everyday purchases. The end of Trump-era tariffs is reshaping American industry, creating winners and losers. Sectors reliant on imported materials, like automotive and tech, welcome lower costs and greater global competitiveness. These savings could mean more investment, job growth, and lower prices for consumers. However, domestic steel and aluminum producers lose their protective barrier, facing renewed competition and possible job cuts. Tech companies benefit from cheaper components, but still face export controls, especially in the US-China tech rivalry. The impact on workers is uneven. Some industries may expand, while others brace for tougher competition. The ruling reignites the debate over whether free trade's benefits outweigh the risks to specific domestic sectors. The real-world effects will test America's approach to balancing global competition and local jobs. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves worldwide, prompting swift and varied reactions from major trading partners and global markets alike. The ruling was covered extensively by international media, with analysts debating its long-term implications for global commerce. Japan, which had been struggling under the weight of U.S. tariffs for years, now anticipates a significant boost for its exporters and renewed economic growth. Japanese officials expressed cautious optimism, hoping the decision will restore stability to their trade relationship with the U.S. Brazil, already seeing eased tariffs on food exports, stands to deepen trade ties with the U.S. Brazilian agribusiness leaders are hopeful that this will open new opportunities for their products in American markets. China, locked in a prolonged trade war with America, may view the ruling as a diplomatic win, but technology export controls remain a major sticking point. Chinese officials are watching closely to see if further negotiations will follow. The European Union welcomes the move as a step toward reducing trade tensions and reinforcing global trade rules. EU leaders have called for renewed cooperation and a more predictable trading environment. Switzerland and India are reassessing their own trade strategies in light of the US shift, considering how best to position themselves in a changing global landscape. The ruling is seen globally as a return to predictable, law-based American trade policy, restoring confidence among international investors and trading partners. While some countries gain new market access, others must adapt to a rapidly changing U.S. approach, reevaluating their own policies and trade agreements. The decision could reset alliances and rivalries, shaping the next era of international commerce and influencing diplomatic relations for years to come. America's trading partners are watching closely as Congress regains control over U.S. trade policy, anticipating further developments and preparing for a new chapter in global trade. Public opinion on tariffs is clear. Most Americans blame them for higher prices and want them reduced or eliminated. A recent poll found 49% favored overturning the tariffs, while only 13% wanted them increased. The desire for lower costs unites Americans across party lines, outweighing arguments for trade protectionism. Despite political debate, most Americans support international trade. 55% believe it makes the average person better off. However, a third of the country still supports tariffs to protect domestic jobs, revealing a deep divide over economic priorities. Policymakers now face the challenge of balancing global engagement with the anxieties of those left behind by globalization. The Supreme Court's decision aligns with public sentiment, but the debate over America's trade future is far from settled. Leaders must find a path that delivers both opportunity and security for all Americans. The Supreme Court's ruling ends one era of U.S. trade policy and begins another filled with uncertainty. The loss of tariff revenue upends fiscal plans, including proposals like the tariff dividend for American families. Congress and the administration must now address a new budget gap and rethink long-term economic strategies. Any future tariffs will require new legislation, likely sparking intense political battles and possible gridlock. Businesses, craving stability, face a period of adjustment as Washington redefines its trade approach. The ruling reasserts Congress's constitutional role and checks executive power, but leaves America at a crossroads. The path forward depends on leaders forging a new consensus. Balancing global trade's benefits with support for American workers in a rapidly changing world.